Hello everybody, I'm be getting rained out. Everything's nasty. I can't go nowhere. I needed some content, so I figured, hey, let's talk about frogs. I've done a frog rod video. Let's do a frog video. I'm going to try to keep this quick, simple, and just tell you what I do, tricks that I've learned, things that I've learned, and what works for me. I live in Georgia, which is the South. It is possible for me to frog year round. If not frog, definitely topwater. So a frog is something I always have tied on. If you fish farm ponds, small ponds, take a frog with you every time you go, man. It will be your number one lure. It is mine anyway. For small ponds, little hidden ponds, whatever, a frog is just... They catch little bass, they catch big bass. They're good lures. Okay, I'm going to start this off first with what I do with my spro frogs. The rods I use for that frog. What I like and what I don't like about the spros. First one I'm going to start off with is the standard. This is possibly, I don't want to say the best because I do have favorites, but this is one of the best frogs as far as color wise, durability, softness, sharp hooks, how well it can go in that tree and come back out. This is one of the best frogs you can spend your money on right here. I have several of them, keep several. You can see this one's been chewed and destroyed. This one has rattles in it. This is for fishing thick grass. Open water, covering the water, just throwing it around, fishing a frog anywhere, everywhere. This is my frog. Now, should they be in the grass and not on the edge of the grass or in the thicker, nastier vegetative cover? Got one with rattles in it, and you see that frog. For me, this frog, if I'm covering open water, I don't have a lot of grass, it's not a lot of cover, I'm basically just beating the bank. I use this frog on a medium heavy, a lure from 6 skill, and I also throw it on the heavy if I'm around vegetative cover or thick cover. And it's always on 50-pound braid. Always. I don't use 40 for frogging. I do have a reel with 65 on it, but it's for particular frogs and particular things. This frog, you can't really see it, but it's actually kind of translucent when it's bright, sunny. Don't have a lot of overcast cover. It's got a real ghost minnow to it. It's still green, but they can see through it. It's translucent. That's when this frog gets used. There it is. Yes, all my mostly favorite frogs I keep more than one of because, you know, hey, sometimes you need more than one. But that's what these frogs are for. Clear water, sunny days. Bluegill eaters. Think bluegill eaters. These are killer frogs for clear water bluegill eaters. These. If you've got a lot of shell cracker, you've got a lot of perch. These are really good frogs. They're soft, still got the good spro hooks. They walk really well. They're in line. Inline walkers. They're really good walkers. I throw these on the heavy. It's the same material, but this top has ridges on it right here on the side. They're thick ridges. And when it crushes, those ridges kind of compress back towards the hooks. And I just feel like you get a better hook-up ratio with the heavy than you do on the medium heavy with these. You can still set the hook with it, especially if you bend the hooks out. I don't bend any of my hooks out except for maybe one frog. Well, 2. I bend these out. But good heavy action frog rods. The heavier lure, the medium heavier lure, that's what I throw these on. This is a matte frog. The spros are really soft. This color, there's no particular, what's it called, rattlesnake, diamondback maybe, diamondback. It's a nice frog. It caught my eye. I bought it. I have caught a few fish on it, but it's never really produced. This spro. Farm ponds, small ponds, bluegill eaters. As you can see on this frog, it does get a medium, heavy. All my spros, except for one, I throw on a medium heavy and heavy Anora from 6 Skill Fishing. Everybody loves this color. I've never caught a bass on it, so hey, go figure. Shad Lakes, I'll throw this one. But out of all these frogs, the number one frog that gets thrown is this guy. This is just, I've got so much confidence in this one color that I own more of it than any other color spro. Now, this spro. It's clear. It's got a painted body. You see the cup face. It's in line. I only throw this frog on this combo. I own 2 frogs. This is the only combo I throw those frogs on. If you look at that cup face, you see it's kind of big. What you can't see is it don't crush. So what I've noticed, when you set the hook with a rod that's got a little more give to it, until it hits the fish's mouth, the cup compresses, and you see, ow, took my damn self, but you see how it's pushing back into the hook. When bass eat a frog, when they hit it, once they get it in the crush plates, they crush it. That's why you don't have to wait a full second or 3 seconds, but you don't actually want to set on sight. When you see that line move, that's when you set the hook. When you can physically see your braid moving, you set the hook right then. Because what's going to happen, especially on lakes where they come up under it and they just engulf the whole frog, the moment it gets in their mouth, they're going to crush. And that's when you set. And that cup face, it just, I don't know, on a softer rod. I've never got a hook set on this frog using a medium heavy rod. 7 foot heavy Maaka, Hamar S Plus combo, 65 Power Pro braid. I've lost maybe 1 or 2 fish on this. They tend to swallow this guy whole. This is my favorite all-time frog. It's not good in grass mats. It's not too good through lily pads, but around lily pads, sporadic cover, beating the bank. I mean, you can see in a grass lake, bluegill lake, this is it right here. This is, in my opinion, this is the number 1 frog, period. Out of all frogs, except for 1, maybe 1, but this is still my favorite. The King Daddy. I've never caught a fish on it, but I have had them swipe on it. I throw this on the heavy Anora. And I am going to catch me a fish on this guy one day. Never caught a fish on it. Ever. Alright. Booyah frogs. Popping Pad Crasher is all I have, except for 1. These working farm ponds, hidden ponds, little grassy ponds, especially around the spine when they're killing bluegill. That's the best time to throw these, in my opinion. Shad lakes, this is the only popping spro you need right here. I mean, bronze eye, not damn bronze. See, I'm a spro guy. Booyah popping frog you need right here. I would, especially on medium heavies, bend the hooks out just a little, but be careful. Booyah's hooks are a little weaker. I prefer these on the heavy Anora, but because they're so light, these are really light. These are my what I call finesse frogs, and we're gonna get to them here in a minute. And all a finesse frog is just a smaller frog. You're throwing it around cover, picking cover apart, sporadic cover, isolated cover. But the popping pad crashers do walk extremely well. Any of the cupped face poppers, these are your best walkers here. The popping frogs walk phenomenally well. Shad lakes, I've caught bass in farm ponds, I've caught bass in grass. That's what this. But if you've got a shad lake, this is the only color you need right here. That is literally it. You don't need another color frog on a shad lake. You can see this one has been smashed. This frog here is old as hell. I will say that. I've had that one a long time. Old Smoky. This is the #1 farm pond, small pond. This is it. This frog, it's a beast, dude. I have caught more bass on this frog than any other frog I've ever owned. This little frog, and you can see it. You can see it's being chewed on me. I throw it on a medium heavy. I don't bend these hooks out. I leave this frog. That's exactly what they get. The only modification I do on this one is I trim one leg just a little, not a whole lot, just a little bit shorter than the other. And that helps this smaller frog walk a whole lot better. But yeah, if you're fishing small ponds, backwaters, little creeks, as long as the water's on the clearer side, this thing here, this is amazing, man. This is it. This is, if there was no other frog you was ever going to throw, I highly recommend this one. All right, my big boys. The River to Sea Bully Watu. These frogs are a blessing and a curse. You're either going to catch them or you're not. This is a bigger frog. When you put it next to a spro, you're going to see that it's a physically bigger frog. Another thing you're going to see, it's got bigger hooks. I throw this on the heavy Mayaca and the heavy Anora, but I prefer it on the Mayaca. This is a heavier frog. It walks extremely well. When it's coming through the water, when you're walking it, it's actually rolling. That is how this frog walks. Extremely well. This frog has gotten my biggest frog bass. I don't use a scale too much. I don't really care for them. But I'm easily estimating that bass. I'll give it 9.5 just to be fair. Just to be fair, I'll give it 9.5. These are the only two colors of the big ones I own. I only bought this because of red dragonflies, and I wanted just a little different. The whole point in the little Allen color, when you're throwing a frog this big, you're going after a big bite. And you can see that one's been, you're going after a big bite. So you're not going to get many. I mean, it'll still catch a lot of bass, especially if you trim the legs short, because the rear end is so much bigger than the booyahs or the spruce. Those smaller bass are going to miss it a whole lot. So you're going to get a lot of missed strikes on this one if you've got smaller bass. But if you know you're on big bass, you're a fool for not throwing it. I'm not even, if it's bright, when they come up to it, they see it, it attracts aggressive strikes. And I know here, I can't speak for how they act where you live, but I know here in my grass lakes, when they eat this guy, they're killing it. I mean, it is always down, and there's never, you don't see the outside of this frog here. When you get that fish in and you open that fish's mouth, it's down in their mouth. They're swallowing it whole. This is the river to sea popper. The spitting wire. I've got a few of them, same as this. So that's for when I want something just a little different. It's a little different. I have caught fish on one of these. If you buy these, I don't care what color, before you go fishing with it, you need to take it. I don't know if you can hear that, but you need to crush that. That cup is really hard. No, this isn't going to tear it up, but what it does, it just softens it up a little bit. So when you set the hook, it can collapse. I prefer these on a medium heavy because honestly, the few I've caught on them, I didn't notice I just damn skin hooking them. So I wouldn't throw this on too heavy of a rod because you're just going to rip it out of their mouth. I've got, this one's actually been producing. This has been a decent little frog. I throw these on a medium heavy. You do have to trim the legs on these little ones to get them to walk right. They are aggravating. I'm not covering water with these. That's not what these are for, not in my mind. This isn't a let's go throw cover water. This is a we're about to pick this late out apart. We're about to pull up on the spot, and it just looks like there should be a bass there. And I'm about to make 5, 6 quick casts of this spot and just pick it apart. That's what these is. They don't walk too good. If you go to walk them too hard, you'll pull them underwater. But one thing I have noticed, they are phenomenal for throwing up there, not no long cast. You throw it up there, let it sit, and you just twitch it a little bit. Let it sit, twitch it a little bit. Let it sit, twitch it a little bit. Reel it back. Throw it back, let it sit, twitch it a little bit. Twitch it a little bit, bring it back. You're just picking it apart. It's a small offering. Maybe they don't want this big, huge frog. When this frog comes out, the idea is I'm trying to get bit. I'm trying to catch a fish. I'm not chasing a trophy no more. I'm trying to get bit. That's what these are for. Sometimes they really do just want a smaller meal. That's the whole point of these. I've got a shad lake over here, and I'm trying to make myself become a shad lake fisherman. I'm a bluegill. I fish grass, ponds, rivers, things like that. I don't do the shad pattern too much, but I'm trying to make myself do it. That's what these are for. We've got a couple of laydowns up there. They finally put in. They cut some pine trees down. and I'm needing something I can throw in that pine tree and bring it back out, topwater wise, and that's it. That's this guy. That's what I use this for. Line. That is it. There's, in my opinion, there's no other line to use. On my Mac, I'm running 65 of Power Pro regular 4-strand. I've got a Hamar with the 65 on it. I've got a Hamar with the 50, actually a Hamar Noor, both got the V8, the V2 on there. The V2 is 8-strand. It's safer if you get in the wood, so to say. It's not going to dig in as bad, and as long as you're fast and you can go ahead and get them out, you stand a better chance of not cutting into the wood. It doesn't cut grass as good as the 4-strand. 50-pound 4-strand Power Pro cuts grass extremely well. Extremely well. I'm actually fixing to drop a rod down to 40-pound 4-strand Power Pro for fishing the edge of the grass. But if you're fishing around wood, you've got a lot of wood, go with the V2, the 8-strand. Or if you use another brand, go with the highest strand count. I think Suffix maybe's got a 13-strand. That would be a good open water around wood frog braid. And like I always say, if you're going to be frogging, you've got to learn to keep a flipping stick on standby. When I'm frogging, one of these is going to be tied on the rod at all times. Should I have one come up, blow up on the frog, and I miss it, I can flip back in there, and odds are, as long as that fish didn't feel the hook, you can catch him. That's all it is. You throw in there, they blow up on it, they miss, you twitch, whatever, they won't come back to it, reel in, pick up your flipping stick, flip in, and you flip them out. This is a Zoom Magnum trick worm. This worm is a video in and of itself. And I'm telling you now, if you're not throwing these weightless, you need to start. That is this. If you don't take nothing else away from this video, weightless. Weightless. Okay. You've made it this far. I'm going to give you the trick and the tip on a frog I don't have. If you've got lunker hunt frogs, get you some 17-pound monofilament. Go clear. I would actually spend the money and get the thinnest and best clear monofilament you can get. The lunker hunts is the kind that's got the little legs on them. Go with a medium heavy rod, not a heavy. It is possible to do this with a medium, but your hook set has got to be on point. I mean, when you swing, you want that rod doubled over. The lunker hunt is the only thing in this world that you throw out there and they're like, okay, that's a frog. You pull it, the legs switch, you let it sit. You pull it, the legs switch, you let it sit. It is the most natural frog presentation you can throw. Really tight hook set. You reel down to the fish when you swing because of the mono. So you want to use a good solid medium heavy rod. And if you've got a lot of clear water bass, a lot of pressured bass, it's a good way to catch a big one. You don't believe me? Bama Bass has multiple double-digit bass on 17-pound monofilament and a lunker hunt frog. Go check his channel out, Bama Bass. He's the only person I'm going to give a shout out to in this video. That's what he does. And it works. But we're at the 25-minute mark. These are the hooks I use for my flipping setups. And that's what I use to flip behind. Y'all have a good one. This is getting too big for me to edit and get uploaded. So that's it. Enjoy your day.